Hey, welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by Algared. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing okay. I'm, as you can see, old man Hurston is in his factory clothing.
Yeah, factory.
I have to go down to the factory floor, and I'm mixing with the riffraff.
Conscious.
And Execute before was, brushing off his shirt.
Yeah,
He wanted to look respectable for old man Hurston.
I've got. I need to get a clean shirt on. I've been doing shit around the house today and stuff like that. But so, we realized on stream this week that we've been talking about ships that we learned about at CitizenCon and a few other things because of things we've learned. But and I did do an episode with Grim on the Blue Silhouette video.
Yeah.
But coming up to Invictus, we wanted to kind of set some expectations because I've also seen some other creators doing videos and stuff like that. And I, just based on real basic knowledge, I think some of the things are really off the mark, and they are setting opium really high. And I think we kind of help temper that a little bit, because I think people are going to be really disappointed with some of the ships if they don't come out when people say they are. And so I thought we could do a little update and just kind of release that. And so this will probably, we always say there'll be a quick one, but they never end up being quick. But
no, they're never quick. If you think it's a quick one, it means it's probably 45 minutes. But But we did talk about the blue curtain or the blue silhouettes just after CitizenCon when we were in the hotel. But that's a while ago, and that was also we've been talking about a whole host of other things. So
it's Algared. It's been 5 months
I know,
4 months.
Disgusting, isn't it?
It's gone so quick.
I know. So it's sickening to think how quick that time has gone.
Yeah. So first cab off the rank, I think this is a fairly obvious one. I think it's really kind of evident, and that's probably why we're starting with this one. Is the Starlance attack? Yeah, what's your kind of thoughts on this one, mate, so to speak?
Oh, I think the attack is one of those ships that CIG wants to do. I think there's, as we know from talking to John and Ben, they'd really like to do something more with the Fury.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that I think the tech doesn't allow it.
They even said they tried it, the idea of using the Furious turrets, but it just was not big enough. Does that mean it may come around in the future? Possibly. I think realistically, though, it can't be any worse than the Max. So I think this is like I will, I'm looking forward to the two other variants of the Starlancer, because I'm hoping they're already. I prefer this over the Max. But there's things that I would still like about this one. Like one of the things I talked to you about was it'd be really cool if you could have additional Furies that somehow attach to the exterior. Now, technically speaking, you could just put that in the cargo bay, and that would then allow you to cycle more through that hangar and actually make that hangar useful. Like with a Polaris, the other ships can bring themselves with the Polaris slowly, but they can get there. The Fury can't do that because it doesn't have the jump drive. So the hangar is just really for one ship, unless you can kind of get away with having more to cycle through it. And I think that would really up the quality of the TAC. As I said, you can put them in the cargo bay, but it'd just be really cool if there was also, like almost like they have external cargo grids made by MISC. Why couldn't they modify those so lightly so they hold a Fury? I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yep. The thing I like about this is when you think about it, the TAC really is a Connie.
Yeah.
It really is this, it's multi-crew, it's got the weapons, it's got the snub. So it really is a Connie-esque ship. Probably puts it in the same category as a Corsair, but
but it does go up in size, so it actually goes into that 600 I range in size, so it actually grows quite a bit. I think this one's a fairly obvious one. I think you would agree with me. It's probably on par to come out around Invictus. That would be the safe bet on this one. A military ship at a military event, it kind of makes sense. We already have the Starlancer Max in game. It kind of makes logical sense to me, unless you think different.
No, I think the fact that we've got the Starlancer in game already, it was I thought really unique that they weren't, they didn't sell this. And the other variants, the other main variant of the Starlancer at when they announced them, that was unique. I felt.
So I
fully expect that.
I should have said this from the outset of the episode. These are all our hypothetical guesses or speculative guesses based on the evidence we have, right? And a lot of that has to do with the ship pipeline always takes 18 months. So if you kind of know the start of where a ship goes in, you can literally know where it's going to come out. So based on things like that, so this next one, the Apollo, it went into development not at the end of last year, but the year before. You add 18 months, kabang, that is Invictus. Now, I think the hold up for this that you would agree with me, Algared, would be the drone. That would be the biggest caveat. But we know that base building has A to B drones and that they've been working on base building. It's not a hop, skip, and a jump. It's essentially, instead of building a building, it's just picking a person up and carrying them back. And again, if that is just tier 0, like they essentially transport into the drone and then the drone goes back and they transport to the bed, that's all totally doable and not that complicated. It just depends to what level they want to take it. So this is entirely, like, you got to realize there's other things that have moved the schedule around. It really comes down to oh, camera's gone funny. Really comes down to you still hear me? Yeah. All right. It really comes down to when it's coming online, so to speak.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, when we look at the Apollo, there has not been any indication that there's a drone control station. Now, there could be a drone control station on the bridge in the cockpit of a co-pilot. But at the moment, we haven't seen that. We're in other drone ships. We've seen there are drone control stations, the Reclaimer,
Vulcan, Carrack. There's quite a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it implies that it's a more simplistic drone, doesn't it?
Yeah. And so, like you said, with building coming and knowing that the Starlancer build will have A to B drones, knowing that we're working on drones, it really doesn't seem too far
too far-fetched.
For this to be coming. Yeah, it doesn't feel too far-fetched.
While it is potentially an Invictus, there's a few ships that actually fall into this, and I think some of the ships will fall out. Some of the ones we're essentially throwing a few at the wall, and I don't think all of them are going to stick, because I don't think you're going to see all of these landing in Invictus. In fact, I think it falls under the precedence of you'll probably see the bigger and grander ones that are around Invictus come at that time, and it seems that we're actually on a credence right now to see one ship a month released all the way to the end of the year. Now, that also includes new ships we've never even heard of, but right now we essentially had the Hornet, the Misfortune, and next month we've got, or this month we've got St. Patrick's Day celebrations. So there's probably, in addition, something coming at that time period as well. Though we say things, it's available in Invictus, it allows them to come a little bit before and obviously after as well.
Yeah. And the other thing that works in favour of this coming sooner than later is the fact that it is on the blue silhouette curtain.
Yeah.
Which does, gives it a high likelihood of being one of those ships.
Can I ask? I've always wondered about this. Why do you call it a curtain? There's no curtain in the yellow one. There's no curtain in the blue one. I've just it's just a thing that you've called it, and I'm like, where does he get this curtain term from? I always call it silhouette.
It's like game show hosts. Behind curtain number 1.
Oh, right. Now I get. Okay, that makes more sense, because I'm just trying to understand where your brain was.
Silhouette behind something else. So
I never would understand the curtain comment, but now it makes a lot more sense. Right. Okay. Intrepid. We don't have images, obviously, of this, but it's highly more than likely you would agree with me on this. End of the year, Intrepid variants, much like we've seen with every other starter that's come in like the last, 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's one thing, we've, and I say, you often say you'll agree with me on this, and the reason you can is because we often talk about it off camera quite extensively as well. So,
but I don't like to put words in your mouth. It's just, I like you to speak for yourself and form your own opinions and stuff like that. So that's just not that's not who I am to tell people how to think. So yeah, for me, I believe that will be, what would you say, at least one variant, maybe two for this. The way that this thing is built from behind, there's just some really obvious choices. Like the really obvious one is a bounty hunting variant. It literally is like two coffins. That the two 4 SCUs are like perfect for insert bounty hunting module here type thing. I think that is the really obvious variant. And I don't think I'll probably go into any other variants, but I think that's the most obvious one for me. It's built like two coffins. Unless you made a medical variant that was two stretchers, that could work too.
Well, and you know, given the fact that we do have a Pisces that has
unlikely
the one bed, does raise that likelihood.
You're gonna raise? I think it lowers it. Because why would you have a double up? You know what I mean?
Because the Pisces, I was going to say because the Pisces is a snub, but it's not really a snub anymore, is it? When it started its life, the Pisces was seen as a snub, but it's now a full-fledged ship.
Yeah, it's a starter now. So yeah.
Yeah. So that probably does lower the likelihood, but you know.
And at time of recording, they've just announced that, shown off some a new RSI starting salvager. That's probably just again, you add 18 months to that. That shows you that it's instantly goes past AIE, so it wouldn't be coming this year. It would put it into the following year's AIE at least. And when you know, and that's in early days because they only had 3 concepts of it. They didn't have a lot of different concepts or anything like that. So again, this would be coming at AIE. That's where the starters come. We're starting to get a credence now where you get ships. One of the ships that we don't have on this list, and I just realized I probably should have added it, but we generally getting our medium ship for the year. Think Zeus Spirit at CitizenCon. One of the ships on the Blue Silhouette video is Consolidated Outland looking, and we did talk about that in the Blue Silhouette video, but I'd assume if that was coming, I think you would agree. I'm doing it again. But yeah, if you were going to release a medium ship, it would be at CitizenCon, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, medium ship or large ship, certainly at CitizenCon. So yeah.
A bit of a weird one here, but there's a reason why we're putting this one in. So obviously the CSV FM, we already have the CSV. I'm just going to call it the box cart. I can't remember what it's called. Again, it's too many letters for a ship. They really need to shorten the name of this thing. But the FM is tied to base building. It's on the Blue Silhouette, or Blue Curtain as Algared now calls it. I think this shows that they want base building in the game sooner rather than later. So this is not the FM, so to speak, but their intention for base building. They wanted it sooner than later. You could also, I think you could add the Starlance build in this as well. Your thoughts there, mate?
Yeah, no, and the fact that the FM is again on the Blue Curtain, it makes it something that is very likely to come. I think both the FM and the build will probably come when they get the building in.
Agreed.
But the FM also uses drones. So again, it's got that A to B drone.
True. I totally forgot about that. You are totally correct, sir. So that also leads credence to the Apollo. Yeah. Good spotting. Yeah. Good job.
So when this comes, if it comes early and it's got some form of drone, whether it's just repairing a damaged building or whatever, they're doing it very simply. I think once this comes with drones, I think the Apollo follows at the same time.
Right. The next one, a lot of people say we're on a lot of hopium for this next one, but it's exactly the same as the Apollo, believe it or not. So, and that is the Raelian. The Raelian was seen at the same time as the Apollo in ISCs at the end of, not last year, but the year before. So I'm talking 2023. And again, you add 18 months. We already have the Saulian, so we know they've got a little bit of the styling. This is kind of like 2 sizes up from that, but it is entirely possible. And how dare they release a ship on Alien Week, Algared? I think you'd agree with me.
I know, totally radical to have that.
Now, the big hold up that a lot of people would talk about, and I am putting on a game developer hat here, so apologies for that. I know some people get annoyed when I put on my old game developer hat, but essentially stacking the cargo boxes is just realigning how they are stacked. So if you stack 2 boxes on top of each other, they have 2 alignment things that line them up. All you're essentially doing is turning that essentially to a 45-degree angle, and then you're able to stack triangles instead of stacking squares. And so essentially, if you kind of think that through, there is probably a little bit more to it than that. That's not that complicated, though. I would say it's on the same level as putting in the A to B drone. Would you not?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
So looking at it, it does seem like that would be the case. Whether unknown blockers or other stuff, but
yeah. So that is the real hold up on this ship. Is a priority thing. So I could also see this being kicked down the road just because of that. But also, if it has actually been worked on and it's sitting there, it's not a lot of work to be able to get this ship out the door. I would say, out of the ones that we've kind of talked about for Invictus, this is probably the highest likelihood of ones to be kicked down the road, because it gives it requires a little more work than the others, because the work that it's not a lot of work, but the work that is done for this is just for it.
The other thing that does make this, I think, pushes this possibility for further down the road is also the interior with the Xi'an living type areas as well. So CIG have to be really confident this is the way we want the Xi'an to be, sleeping, eating, washing, and all that stuff.
Yeah, kind of like when they had Defender problems when they were building the Defender. They took more time because they wanted to work out the style of the Xi'an. They kind of did it a little bit in the Sulian. I think they did a really good on the Sulian, but you are correct. As soon as you go to a bigger ship, more problems, more shit that needs to be worked out.
And one of the things you will remember with the Rallian was the fact that it did have those dual living quarters or the dual kitchens and the dual, so you had two ways of getting food, two ways of washing, two types of sleeping type arrangements. So it had that not Sulian, it had that Xi'an lifestyle that they'll have to have actually worked out and mapped and determined how it works.
You got to say in Australian, it's Xi'an. For Piss for Pete. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. If I didn't put that in. Not to see Pete. But Pete hasn't heard my voice in a couple of weeks, so apparently he's missing it. Hey, bud. I hope he's doing well. Right. I am very hopeful for that one, and we are kind of getting into that territory of a lot of hopeful one. The next one here, I've heard a lot of people speculate that this is coming, and that's the Perseus at Invictus, and I'm going to just pop the bubble straight from the get-go. I don't think this is coming to the end of the year. I think they are pitching this pretty much exactly how they positioned the Polaris. And if you go back, we saw Polaris in background shots at ISC around about this time last year. We then saw the exterior on the show floor at Invictus. I think that's the absolute best you can hope for, is the exterior of this at Invictus. And then at the end of the year, the final ship. And let's be honest, when the ship hit the floor, it wasn't quite ready. They had to go back a couple of weeks later and fix up a few things. I think this being a little bit smaller, but also being a little bit more refined on the RSI size, I think this will probably more likely be following the same time frame, but they less work because they've already refined a few things.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I could see it being an Invictus in terms of a showroom floor. If I was being ultra hopeful, I'd hope for some sections of the ship being open so you could actually walk through.
Okay, possible. I'll give you the cargo bay. That's all I'm going to give you.
It's me taking that rope that they give us, And
I think realistically though, just doing what they did with the Polaris and making it walk through, I think even that's quite hopeful. Again, we are still making the assumption that it was like what happened, because they announced that the Galaxy had already started work, and then they never mentioned the Galaxy got cancelled. So we assume at some point in there they moved over to this. But again, if you add the 18 months, the Perseus could possibly be ready by the end of the year based on that. And you got to remember, they always say, look, they said to me, that's what we learned when me and Algared talked to Ben and John, was ships always take 18 months. Always.
So when you give 18 months, that's
they just put more or less people on it based on the size. So, in an ironic turn of phrase, it's not that dissimilar to how many people use the ship, because the Polaris was 8 people, and I think they, what is it, 12 on that? And then this is 4. Do they put 4 on this? Do you see what I mean? Like, it could be quite funny. It requires the number of the people that use the ship. It's not quite exactly that math, but it'd be funny if it was. So, yeah. All right, the last one for today, wrapping it all up, is the Ironclad. Now, I've seen people saying this is coming at AIE. I actually think it's the opposite, Algared. I think this is the one that is far more likely to come at AIE. And the main reason for that is we kind of saw this in production when they announced it. It had already been kind of grey boxed out. Most of it had been done, as in like it laid out. There's no blockers for this. It is essentially a cargo ship. There's nothing really to add or subtract from this. Now, the Assault variant is different, but much like when they released the Spirit, we don't have the E1. And other ships like that. I think the Assault will come later. I don't know when that'll be. It could be after base building, so we could see this at Invictus and the Assault at say IAE might be a possibility. What's your thoughts on that, mate?
I certainly think this is the Ironclad is a contender for Invictus, just because we know that last year, when people were asking about the Drake Corvette, that this was already in production, and so that if you do the math, then you're looking Invictus is around 18 months. So
just to clarify, it was CitizenCon not last year but the year before. John Crew actually hinted at a Drake Corvette, and when he talked to me in Algared, he kind of implied, because he already knew it was in production. So you kind of, if it had been in production, he knew about it. You can kind of roughly ascertain 18 months from there, you pop out an Invictus.
Yeah, he actually said when we were talking to him, well, the Ironclad, we said, are we going to get? Is the Ironclad because we're looking at at that Corvette? And he said, well, the Ironclad is the Corvette.
Yeah, and that
and we went, what?
Yeah, that's not a Corvette, and that's a discussion for another time. But because
But I think that really does that time frame really does into Invictus. So.
Also, the other thing that leads credence to this over other ships, and I'm being very cruel when I mention it like this, but this is essentially a flying box. There is, you do have your, like, if you look at the Caterpillar, it's on similar part of the Caterpillar, as in it's just this one big box at the front, and then you've got your engine rooms and stuff attached at the back. And again, having the command module, you can 100% agree with me, Algared, that they started on a Caterpillar and went from there. Like, they widened it.
The recent work on the Caterpillar that we have seen in the PTU, it's that they've also been working on the Caterpillar. So does that also mean they've been working on the
I thought the same thing myself. Will the cab be functional when this comes out? It is totally a possibility. I do think the doors coming down are probably similar to the front door on this. Maybe also the roof opening and closing as well. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But again, if you look at there are 2 big ships here, right, for this year that are on the cards. You've essentially got the Perseus and the Ironclad, and you kind of run it through based on their moving through the ship pipeline. You're kind of not going to want to come out at the same time, because they kind of tread on sails for each other. And when you do that, one's got to come at Invictus and one's got to come at AIE. That just makes logical sense. It's just that the Perseus started production later than this, so therefore this one's got to come first. It's pretty logical thinking. And when like, I know you guys weren't there for the conversation with me, Algared, Ben, and John, but when you know that all ships take 18 months, it makes it so much easier to predict when these ships are going to come out now. And I think that's really valuable information. If you take anything from this video, that is what I want you to take. So if they announce, though, like the RSI ships that we saw, or the Kruger ships that we saw, you can clearly go, well, they're at least 18 months away, and they're only in concept. They haven't even started production. So they're in their infancy. So when you look at it like that, you can instantly go, well, I'm not going to see those until 2026. Literally.
The only one of those that they talked about in the Star Citizen Live that I think is an outlier, a possibility, a hidden gem is the Mantis Heavy Fighter. Just because we didn't see any pictures, because we don't need to show you pictures, because everyone knows what a Mantis looks like. And it just had so we don't know how far along that development is. We don't know when it started the cycle.
Yeah.
Which puts those question marks.
Yeah.
But
there was, and Algared's got merit to this because there was a Mantis EMP found in the files, and they also mentioned it on the show. So that is also another one. Like I would argue that that's a contender to come out this year. If you think about how they did variants last year for onboarding tasks, it could possibly be another onboarding task, and essentially someone's taking the Mantis and turning it into an EMP. When the default variant is QED, that's not a hot skip and a jump to imagine at all.
Yeah, and so that is one that could be a contender for, and I'd say if I'm taking my hopium, that would be I would think an Invictus because it would be a military ship.
I think it would be more likely to be one of the ships that come out across the year. Again, I think they're leading to it. I don't know if this is exactly what they're doing, but we did talk about it at the end of the last year. I know I talked about it with you. I talked about it with Paul. I think I talked about it with Grim, that it looks like they're trying to do one ship per month as a release. And I would, again, like I said earlier, there's all these ships that could possibly, we've listed, what, 5 or 6? Obviously, you're realistically only going to get 3. Right? That's what they do at sales. They have one at the start, one at the beginning, and then like Alien Week gets one potentially, right? And it's exactly the same. Like you essentially get Citizen Con, one at the start of the AIE, one at the end, and then you know, like last year got the Guardian as well. So sometimes you get 4, but you get what I'm saying. Like they spread them out over that time period. And I think I don't know exactly. Again, you could even do that. I just think the bigger ones like the Ironclad and the Perseus, they're far more likely to come at the big events.
Yep, because they're going to be the sales, but. Yeah, I also know in the sales they've often had the big ship and a small ship, and they often have 2 or 3 of those sales, so that at different price points as well. Yeah, because they want to attract.
So I think we're agreeing in different ways. So what I'm trying to say is I don't know what the 3 ships are, other than probably one of the big ones. But I would totally, if it came out there, Algared, I would just say you called it. Right. So I don't know what it is that's exactly coming, but we're kind of showing that these are the ones ready to fall, you know, kind of come out. This is the shuffle deck. We just don't know exactly the order. I think the only one we'd bet on is the big ones. Would you agree with that?
And like I said with that Mantis one, we've got hints, but we don't know when it started. We don't know when it started production.
It may
is in production.
It could also never eventuate, because we haven't heard anything beyond the files. So, but they did mention that in one of the, I think it was the Star Citizen Lives, they mentioned that it possibly was a thing. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, it was one of the things that one of the guys in the ship team was working on. So
there you go.
But that's as far as we know.
But again, if he's a concept artist, that means it's at least 18 months away, because it's still in concept. So that, I think we can safely say that it's definitely not coming to Invictus now then.
So But so anyway, that's
right. Well, what do you want to hear from the people in the comments below, Algared?
How much copium have we been taking? Do you agree with what we're saying? Do you think we're off our rockers? And if we are off our rockers, what have we missed? And why do you think that?
Yeah, again, I know you've got to put a lot of trust in us when we say that all ships that go in the ship pipeline have got 18 months, but I think you guys, most of us do trust us now. And again, I reckon if eventually over time that news will come out from CIG, that it always takes 18 months to go through the pipeline. When that does come out, I think it'll make it a lot easier. Like CIG should talk about it, literally. It just makes it a lot easier to see when ships are coming out. And if people can see when they're potentially coming, it just puts people more at ease. Like, better purchasing decisions, essentially. So, yeah.
And the other thing that helps with that is that the silhouettes of the curtain videos where they say these are the ships where in the past, in the yellow one, it was these are coming out in the next year. The blue one, I thought they said these are going in, they are starting.
That's correct. This year. Yeah, but also some of them had already started.
And so that's a slightly different nuance to the previous year.
Let's be honest, that was the most safest preview they've ever done. Like, they had all the Hornets, they had vehicles and all that type of thing. And realistically, there was only, I think, besides the FM, there was also the Grey Cat looking one, which was essentially, they were the only kind of 2 new vehicles, and the other 2 vehicles were variants. So the only new vehicle on there was that Grey Cat looking one. And I forgot the name of it, but it was in the files. But that looks like it's going to be like a small Storm AA, essentially, or something akin to that. So yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
You know, so they're kind of the curtain's kind of one of the things you can go to give you a hint of what they're working on.
I think you would agree though that other vehicle would more likely be coming out in of those 12 things we're talking about, the one a month. I think that's definitely on the cards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If 100%. not even at Invictus possibly as well. So again, being military based, but all we wanted to kind of do with this video was essentially kind of show you what our thinking was at. And where it's up to. As for comments in the comments, I kind of really just want to kind of know what you guys think, to be honest. Kind of like echoing what Algared said. I'd love the Perseus to come in Invictus. I think we all would. But we have to be realistic and based on the knowledge we have, and think about what happened. It's an RSI ship. The way the Polaris came out, it's absolutely exactly the same credence. I think you'd agree with me on that one, Algared,
yeah. No dispute on that one.
Yeah. Right, with that then, he's been Algared. Oh, wait.
He's been Execute. Oh, done. Yes,
don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and thank you to everyone that went to the extra mile on Patreon at the end of the video. I appreciate it very much. Right, now he's been Algared.
And he's been Execute, and we're out of here. Take care.
See you, citizens.